All right, welcome back, Algebra. Let's get going on this lesson. Today we're going to be talking about probability. So probability, I kind of wrote it down there. It's basically we find it by making a fraction and putting the number of ways that yes, it could happen over the total number of ways that it could come out. So let's see. First of all, this first one right here, this is red. What is the probability of 7? So we've got a spinner. We're going to spin it. What's the probability of 7? So here's my question. How many 7s are there on that spinner? Well, there's only one 7 on that spinner. How many different numbers are there total on that spinner? There's 16. So what's the probability of spinning a 7? 1 out of 16. So what does this mean practically? Practically, it means you could spin that 16 times. And if you spin it 16 times, you would expect to get a 7 once, okay? How about the next one? Probability of something greater than 11. So here's my question. How many are there on here that are greater than 11? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 are greater than 11. How many total are there? 16. So the probability of getting something greater than 11 is 5 out of 16. So you spin it 16 times, 5 of those times you could expect that you would get a number greater than 11. How about the number of shaded? What's the probability of landed in a shaded? How many are there? There are 5 that are shaded and 16 total. So the probability of it being a shaded when you spin it is, once again, 5 out of 16. Let's get a little bit harder. First of all, what is the probability of not getting a 12? Well, two different ways we could tackle this problem. We could say how many numbers on there are not 12, and we could count those up. Or, and in this case, it wouldn't be too hard to do that, but let's think about it another way. First of all, let's figure out what is the probability of getting a 12, okay? Well, there's one 12 on there, and there's 16 total. So the probability of getting 12 is 1 out of 16. So what's the probability of not getting 12? Well, 1 out of 16 is 12. That means there's still other 15. If we take 16 minus 1, there's 15. So the probability of not getting a 12 is 15 out of 16. Let's look at number 2, or the next one. What's the probability of getting a 2 or an odd? Again, two different ways to think about these. Let's do the easy one first. Probability of getting a 2 or odd. Well, let's just see how many 2's or odd numbers there are in there. So 1, 2, 3 is odd, 5 is odd, 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 and odd. So how many are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 total that are 2 or odd out of 16. So that's our probability. I wonder if we could have figured this out another way. What's the probability of getting a 2? Well, the probability of getting a 2 is 1 out of 16. What's the probability of getting an odd? Well, there's 8 odd numbers on there out of 16. And here is a big, huge, huge, huge important word, or. With probability, if we want to know the probability of something or something else, we have to add them. Okay, so if it's or, probability or, we have to add them. So let's see, what's 1 plus 8? That's 9, and the bottom stays the same. So the probability of getting a 2 or an odd means you take the probability of getting a 2 and add it to the probability of getting an odd, and that's going to be 9 out of 16. Okay? What happens, though, if we change it to and? What happens with the probability if instead of or, if it's or, we're going to add them? What do we do if it is an and problem? Well, if it's an and problem, we're going to actually have to multiply these. So here's the situation. We're going to roll a die, and we're going to spin a spinner. And I want to know what the probability is of rolling a 4 and spinning a B. Well, let's figure it out. What's the probability of rolling a 4? Well, on a die, there is 1 4 and there's 6 total numbers. Okay, so the probability of getting a 4 is 1 out of 6. What about the probability of getting a B? Well, there's 1 B on that spinner out of 4 letters, so the probability of getting B is 1 out of 4. Now, if this was a probability of a 4 or a B, we would add them, just like we did on the last problem. But on this time, it's an and, so we need to multiply. So what's 1/6 times 1/4? Just multiply it straight across. 1 over 24. Okay, let's look at the next one. What's the probability of getting an even? Well, on a dice, 3 are even out of 6, or we could even say the probability of getting an even is 1/2. Probability of getting an even on a die is 1/2. What's the probability of spinning a C? Well, there's 1 C on there out of 4 total letters, so the probability of getting an even and a C is 1/2 times 1/4, which is going to be 1/8. Okay, next one. What's the probability of getting a 2 or 5 on our die? Well, there's a 1 2 and 1 5, so that's going to be 2 out of 6. And what's the probability of getting an A or B on the spinner? Well, 2 ways to think about it. You can think about that as 2 out of 4, or you could think about that as 1/2. Maybe I'll go 2 out of 4. I think it's just a little bit easier to see. And we need to multiply these. Now, we can simplify these first if we want, or we can just multiply it. 2 times 2 is 4. 6 times 4 is 24. Now let's reduce this. 4 out of 24, that's going to be 1 out of 6. So what's the probability of getting a 2 or a 5 and an A or a B? 1 out of 6. So 1 out of 6 times, you're either going to get either a 2 or 5 and an A or a B. Okay, last one. Hardest one. A number less than 5. Okay, so how many numbers are less than 5 on a die? There's 4. 4 numbers are less than 5, so the probability of getting a number less than 5 is 4 out of 6. Okay, and what's the probability of getting an A, B, or D on the spinner? Well, that's 3 letters out of 4 total spaces, so the probability of getting an A, B, or D is 3 out of 4. So let's multiply this. Well, I'm just going to reduce this right away. Those 4s, those are going to cancel. And 3 over 6, that's just going to be 1/2. So the probability of getting a number that's less than 5 and on this die or the spinner an A, B, or D is going to be 1/2. So I know you've got this. You can do this. I hope you had as much fun with this lesson as I did because I really enjoyed this. But I know you got this. Good luck.